It's 3 in the morning. The world is silent, but your mind is screaming. You are replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. Not just the words, but the way they were said. The pause your boss took before saying, "Good job." The flicker in your friend's eyes when you shared your good news. What did it mean? Did you say too much? Did you sound stupid? You analyze the past until it's raw, and then you pivot to the future. You map out 10 different catastrophic scenarios for tomorrow's simple meeting. You build entire arguments in your head, complete with dialogue and counter-arguments for a conflict that hasn't happened and probably never will. You are exhausted, but your brain just won't turn off. If this sounds familiar, you are an overthinker. And you've probably been told your entire life to just stop thinking so much, or you're just being anxious, or let it go. But that advice feels impossible, doesn't it? It's like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. Here is the secret that no one ever tells you. You can't just stop thinking because you're not dealing with a simple bad habit. You're dealing with the core architecture of your mind. The world has lied to you. Your overthinking isn't just a flaw. It's not a sign of weakness or a simple chemical imbalance. In many cases, your overthinking is a high-performance feature of your brain that has been turned up too loud. It's a superpower that has been allowed to run wild without a manual. This video is your manual. We are not going to offer you platitudes or tell you to just meditate. We are going to do a deep dive into the psychology of why your brain is built this way. We are going to explore the neurological wiring that makes your mind a relentless engine of thought. We will dissect the evolutionary roots of this curse. And by the end, you will not only understand why your brain can't turn off, you will finally understand how to become its pilot instead of its passenger.
To understand the overthinker, you have to understand the machinery they're working with. Your brain isn't the same as everyone else's. It operates on a different frequency. It starts with a system in your brain called the default mode network, or the DMN. Think of the DMN as your brain's idle mode. When you're not focused on a specific external task, like driving or playing a sport or being intensely focused in a conversation, the DMN lights up. And what does the DMN do? It's responsible for self-reflection, processing your memories, and imagining the future. For most people, the DMN is a quiet background hum. It's where they daydream, where they briefly reflect on their day, and then it quiets down when they engage with the world. For the overthinker, the DMN is not a quiet hum. It is a deafening storm. Neurological studies show that in people who ruminate or overthink, the DMN is hyperactive. It's constantly on, constantly drawing connections, constantly dragging your consciousness back into itself. When you have a moment of silence, your brain doesn't see it as a chance to rest. It sees it as a chance to work. It immediately starts sifting through your archives, reanalyzing the past, simulating the future. This is why you feel most attacked by your thoughts when you're trying to sleep, or when you're in the shower, or when you're on a long drive. You're not focused on an external task, so your hyperactive DMN hijacks your attention. Your brain essentially starts to eat itself. Now let's add the second piece of hardware, high metacognition. Metacognition is a simple concept. It is thinking about your thinking. Most people use it occasionally. You might stop and think, why am I in such a bad mood today? The overthinker, however, lives inside their metacognition. You don't just have a thought, you watch yourself having the thought. Then you analyze why you had that thought. Then you judge yourself for judging the thought. You are simultaneously the actor on the stage, the director shouting instructions, the audience watching the play, and the critic in the balcony writing a scathing review. This is an exhausting way to exist, because you are never simply in a moment. You're always one step removed, observing yourself from the outside. This high self-awareness is what makes you insightful, empathetic, and a great problem solver. But it's also what prevents you from ever feeling simple, uncomplicated peace. You can't lose yourself in a moment because you're too busy analyzing it as it happens. And this leads to the third component, the curse of intelligence. Let's be clear. Not all overthinkers are geniuses, and not all geniuses are overthinkers. But there is a strong correlation between high verbal intelligence, creativity, and a tendency to ruminate. Why? Because your brain is a connection-making machine. A simpler mind sees a simple problem. A complex mind sees a problem and instantly connects it to 10 related problems, 5 potential future disasters, 3 past failures, and a philosophical question about the nature of the problem. Your mind sees too many variables, too many possibilities, too many potential negative outcomes. Let's take a decision that seems simple for most people. What should I eat for dinner? For a non-overthinker, the process is, what am I hungry for? Pizza. Okay. For the overthinker, the process is, okay, I want pizza, but I had pizza last week. Is that too much? I should be healthier. Maybe I should have a salad. But will a salad be satisfying? I'll probably be hungry again in 2 hours. If I get pizza, should I get it from that new place? What if it's bad? That would ruin my night. I should stick to the old place. But I told myself I'd try new things. If I don't try new things, I'm stuck in a rut. Am I stuck in a rut in my life? That decision I made at work today, was that a rut decision? Oh my God. 2 hours later, you're starving, you're paralyzed, and you're ordering the same safe option you always do, feeling vaguely disappointed in yourself. This is analysis paralysis. It's the direct result of a brain that is too good at its job. A brain that can simulate a dozen futures so vividly that it becomes terrified of choosing the wrong one. This machinery, the hyperactive DMN, the high metacognition, and the complex creative intelligence is the anatomy of your mind. It's not broken. It's a high-performance engine. But no one taught you that this kind of engine needs a different kind of driver. It needs a different kind of fuel, and it desperately needs a braking system. So, why? Why would our brains evolve to do this? If it causes so much anxiety and paralysis, why is it the default setting for so many of us? The answer is simple. Your overthinking brain is not a flaw in the system. Your overthinking brain was the system. It was a survival mechanism. Let's rewind 100,000 years. You are a caveman, an early human ancestor. You're living in a world of constant, lethal threats. 2 of your ancestors are walking by a bush. Ancestor A, the non-overthinker, hears a rustle in the bush, thinks it's probably just the wind, and keeps walking. Ancestor B, the overthinker, hears a rustle and freezes. His brain instantly floods with questions. What if it's not the wind? What if it's a saber-toothed tiger? I remember Ugg was eaten by a tiger near these bushes. The wind usually sounds different. It's better to wait. It's better to assume the worst. Who survives? Who passes on their genes? The overthinker. We are the descendants of the most anxious, paranoid, and analytical humans who ever lived. Their tendency to overanalyze threats, to assume the worst, and to ruminate on past dangers is what kept them alive. Their brain was a 24/7 threat assessment machine. Fast forward to today, you are living in the modern world, but you are still running that ancient caveman software. The problem is, the predators have changed. The saber-toothed tiger is no longer a physical threat. The saber-toothed tiger is now a text message from your boss that just says, "We need to talk." It's a seen notification on a message you sent with no reply. It's a strange look someone gave you at a party. Your brain cannot tell the difference. A perceived social threat triggers the exact same high-alert, analytical, survival mode overthinking as a perceived physical threat. Your brain desperately tries to analyze the threat, to survive it. It replays the text message, the seen notification, the strange look, over and over and over, trying to find the right answer that will make you safe. But in the modern world, there is no right answer. There is no certainty. And this drives your ancient brain insane. This evolutionary wiring is then amplified by our environment. If you grew up in a household that was unpredictable, highly critical, or where you felt you had to be perfect to earn love, your brain learned a powerful lesson. If I just think hard enough, I can anticipate the next problem and keep myself safe. As a child, you learn to become a hyper-vigilant analyzer of your environment. You studied your parents' moods, the tones of their voices, the way they walked into a room. You became an expert at reading micro-expressions and subtext. This was a brilliant coping strategy. But you never learned to turn it off. So now you do it to everyone. You analyze your friends, your partners, and your colleagues with the same desperate, high-stakes intensity, searching for hidden meanings and potential threats, even when none exist. This brings us to the most important distinction of this entire video, the one that separates a deep thinker from an overthinker. The script you might have heard before, the one about deep thinkers, describes a mind that is thoughtful, introspective, and philosophical. This is a beautiful thing. But overthinking is its shadow. Deep thinking seeks meaning and understanding. It's constructive. It asks, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "What does this tell me about the world?" It's a journey forward. Overthinking, which psychologists call rumination, is fundamentally different. It does not seek meaning. It seeks certainty. And certainty is something that does not exist in the human experience. Rumination is not a journey forward. It is a loop. It is a broken record. It's like a hamster wheel. You are running and running, exhausting yourself, but you never move an inch. Rumination doesn't ask, "What can I learn?" It asks, "Why did this happen to me?" It doesn't look for solutions, it just replays the problem. This is the core of your suffering. You are using the brilliant constructive tool of deep thinking in a destructive, repetitive loop of rumination, all because your ancient brain is desperately searching for a feeling of certainty and safety that the modern world can never, ever provide.
So, we have a high-performance brain, wired by evolution to see threats everywhere. But to truly become paralyzed, that brain needs to fall into a few key psychological traps. These are the mental habits that turn your powerful engine into a prison. Trap 1. The allergy to ambiguity. Overthinkers are in essence allergic to uncertainty. A maybe or an I don't know is mentally painful. Your brain interprets ambiguity as danger. It needs a definite answer, a solid box to put the experience in. This is why you'd almost prefer a definite bad outcome to an indefinite good one. You'd rather get a no for the job application right now than be told, "We'll let you know in 2 weeks." That 2 weeks of not knowing is torture. So what do? You overthink. You ruminate. You turn the situation over and over, not to find the truth, but to force an answer, any answer, to simply resolve the painful tension of not knowing. You'll invent a negative story. They hated me. I'm definitely not getting it. Because that negative certainty feels safer to your brain than the terrifying vulnerability of hope. You are so busy protecting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty that you are robbing yourself of the possibility of joy. Trap 2. Confusing thought with action. This is one of the most subtle and dangerous traps. Your brain gives you an illusion of control. It convinces you that by thinking about a problem, you are doing something about it. You have a big project to start. It's overwhelming. So instead of starting, you think about starting. You plan. You strategize. You make lists. You imagine problems. You research. You spend 3 hours getting ready to work. You feel productive. You feel like you've been working hard. But in reality, you haven't laid a single brick. This is analysis paralysis. Your thinking has become the procrastination. You are using the process of thought to avoid the pain of action. Your brain has successfully tricked you into believing that the simulation is the same as the event. You don't just think to solve problems. You think to avoid solving them, because solving them is hard and scary and might lead to failure. Thinking, on the other hand, is safe. It's clean. It all happens in your head, where you can control the variables. Trap 3. Emotional intolerance. This is the root of most anxiety-based rumination. We as a society are terrified of bad feelings. Anxiety, sadness, guilt, shame. We see these as enemies to be eliminated. When one of these feelings bubbles up, your first instinct is not to feel it. Your instinct is to think your way out of it. You feel a wave of anxiety. Instead of just sitting with the physical sensation of anxiety and letting it pass, which it always does, you engage it with your mind. Why am I feeling anxious? It must be that meeting tomorrow. What if I mess up? I need to prepare. And now you're no longer just feeling anxiety. You are thinking anxiety. You are fueling the feeling with a story. You are throwing gasoline on the fire. Your overthinking is a desperate, failed attempt to control your emotions. You are trying to use your logical, analytical brain to solve an emotional problem. It's like trying to put out a fire with a textbook on combustion. The very act of trying to think away a feeling only magnifies it and locks it in place. Trap 4. The what-if spiral. This is the overthinker's signature move, the shift from what is to what if. What is the present moment. It is tangible. It is reality. I am sitting at my desk. I have a presentation to give. What if is the hypothetical future. It is fantasy. It is an illusion. What if I forget my words? What if they laugh at me? What if I get fired and my life falls apart? Your brain, especially your hyperactive DMN, loves the what-if game. It's infinitely creative. It can construct a dozen catastrophic futures in the span of 30 seconds. And because your brain is wired by evolution to treat threats as real, every what-if scenario you invent triggers a real emotional and physical stress response. You are living, breathing, and suffering through a future that does not exist. You are not reacting to your life. You are reacting to the fantasies your mind is creating about your life. These 4 traps, the allergy to ambiguity, the confusion of thought with action, emotional intolerance, and the what-if spiral, are the bars of your mental cage. They are not the brain itself. They are the habits the brain has learned. And the good news is, habits can be broken.
This is the most important part. Because the goal, remember, is not to stop thinking. That is impossible. You have a high-performance brain. You can't just turn it into a lawnmower engine. The goal is to stop the rumination, to stop the loop, to step out of the hamster wheel and become the pilot of this powerful machine. You cannot turn off your brain, but you can change the channel. You can learn to dim the lights instead of cutting the power. Here are the practical psychological techniques to do that. Technique 1. Scheduled worry time. This sounds ridiculous, but it is the single most effective technique for managing chronic overthinking. Your brain wants to worry. It thinks it's helping. So, instead of fighting it all day, you make a deal with it. You create a scheduled worry time, a 10 to 15-minute window once a day, and not right before bed. During this time, you have permission to overthink as much as possible. You can write down every worry, every what-if, every ruminating thought. Here is the crucial part. When a worry pops up outside of that scheduled time, at 3 a.m. or in your meeting, you don't fight it. You acknowledge it. You say, "Thank you, brain. That's a very interesting worry. I've noted it. We will deal with this at 5 p.m. You are not suppressing the thought. You are postponing it. What happens is twofold. First, you break the immediate loop, which gives you mental freedom to live your life. Second, when 5 p.m. rolls around and you sit down to look at your worry list, you'll find that 90% of those thoughts have lost their emotional charge. They look distant, small, or even absurd. You have given them the cooling-off period. Technique 2. The metacognition hack. Labeling. You are already a master of metacognition, thinking about thinking. So let's use that superpower against the overthinking. When you feel your mind starting to spiral, you will label the thought. But you're not labeling the content. You're labeling the process. Don't say, "I'm worried about money." Instead say, "This is rumination," or, "This is my default mode network being hyperactive," or simply, "I am having the thought that I am worried about money." This simple act of labeling does something magical. It creates distance. You are no longer inside the thought, being tossed around by it. You have moved back to the position of the observer. You've just reminded yourself, "I am not my thoughts.
I am the witness of my thoughts. This is the entire basis of mindfulness. You are not trying to stop the thoughts. You are just watching them pass by, like clouds in the sky, and you are labeling them. Rumination cloud, planning cloud, judgment cloud. Technique 3. Break the loop with an action bias. Rumination lives in the abstract. Action lives in the physical. The fastest way to break a mental loop is with a physical action. If you are overthinking, move your body, change your environment, get up and do 5 push-ups, splash cold water on your face, put on music and dance for 1 minute. If your rumination is about a specific solvable problem, use the 2-minute rule. If the action you are thinking about takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it. Are you ruminating about the email you need to send? Stop planning it and send it. Are you ruminating about the dirty dishes? Stop staring at them and wash one. Action, even tiny action, is the antidote to analysis paralysis. It proves to your brain that thinking is not the same as doing, and that doing is the only way to make progress. Technique 4. Sensory grounding. This is how you pull your brain out of the what-if future or the why-did past and anchor it violently in the what-is present. When you're spiraling, stop and out loud name 5 things you can see right now: the lamp, the crack in the ceiling, your fingernail, the dust on the table, the color blue. 4 things you can feel: the fabric of your shirt, the floor under your feet, the tension in your neck, the air from the vent. 3 things you can hear: the hum of the computer, a car outside, your own breathing. 2 things you can smell: stale coffee, the soap on your hands. 1 thing you can taste: the remnant of toothpaste or just the inside of your mouth. It sounds too simple, but it is profoundly effective. It is impossible for your brain to ruminate about a future catastrophe when it is being forced to focus on the immediate, physical data from your senses. You have manually rebooted your brain and forced it out of the DMN and into the present moment. Technique 5. Acceptance and commitment. This is the final, most advanced step. You must accept that your brain is a thought-generating machine. It will always produce thoughts, anxious thoughts, weird thoughts, negative thoughts. You cannot stop it, any more than you can stop your heart from beating. So stop trying. Accept the presence of the thought without engaging with the content. An anxious thought appears. You're going to fail. The old way, oh my God, why would I think that? What if I do? I need to stop thinking this. This is engagement. You are now fighting. The new way, hello thought, I see you're there. You're part of the I'm going to fail series. Thanks for sharing. And then you do nothing. You let it be there. You don't fight it. You don't feed it. You don't try to push it away. You just let it exist while you commit your actual physical action to what you value. You accept the feeling of anxiety, and you commit to writing your presentation anyway. You accept the presence of the thought, I'm not good enough, and you commit to going on the date anyway. This is true freedom, not the absence of negative thoughts, but the absolute unwavering knowledge that they have no power over your actions. Conclusion: the feature, not the flaw. Let's return to where we started. Your brain is not broken. It is a Formula One engine. Your ability to analyze, to see patterns, to connect disparate ideas, to feel deeply, to reflect, and to think complexly is a gift. It's the source of your creativity, your empathy, your intelligence, and your unique perspective on the world. Yes, it has a shadow side. That engine, left untended, will overheat, it will spin out, it will trap you in loops of fear and analysis. But you don't fix a high-performance engine by trying to make it simpler. You don't complain that it's too powerful. You learn to drive it. You learn to respect its power. You learn to give it the right fuel. You learn when to accelerate. And most importantly, you learn how to use the brakes. The journey of the overthinker is not to become a non-thinker. It is not to become normal or simple. It is to become a master of your own mind, to see the thoughts, to understand the machinery, to recognize the traps, and to consciously, deliberately choose action, to choose the present, to choose your values, to choose your life over the noise. Your mind is a superpower, and today you just received the manual.